Hi guys, it's Jax here, and for anybody that's interested, I'm going to do a video on how to make a copper ring for your mom, your girlfriend, your wife, some lady in your life, for your dad, for a guy, anything like that. So yeah. So anyways, so this is how to make a copper ring, and so some of the stuff that you're going to need for this is a strand of copper. Now, a lot of you guys can get this from stripping, finding an appliance, hopefully some sort of power cord that's not being used or anything like that. You could take a look at the thickness of the copper inside of it. So if you, like my dad here has a bunch of scrap wires around and stuff like that, and so you can harvest copper out of wires. Now, the copper I have here is 6/7 AWG with probably some sort of thickness. I bought this copper from a hardware store. It comes all round up. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strands to it. But you can get by with just 3 strands, 2 strands, whatever. So anyways, harvest some copper. What I did is I bought copper that's, I bought some copper to make rings with or whatever. So yeah, so anyways, I'm just gonna put the camera down here, and hopefully I'm in frame like I always say here. And I got the camera set on macro, so me and my shitty camera work. So hopefully I'm in frame. So I have 7 strands of copper wire here. I think I'm going to make a ring out of 3 strands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel, well maybe, no, okay, I'll use 3 strands. So I'm just going to separate the wire, and hopefully I'm in frame and you can see me, in fact, separating the wire. Okay, so I have 3 strands here. Now, I'm just going to check to see if I'm in frame here. Okay, so anyways, what you do is you take your 3 strands of wire, and you take a cordless or any kind of drill that has the adjusting tip on it, and you open it up and you cram those 3 wires into there. Hold it till it gets nice and tight and torques in like that. And hopefully you got a vise. So take it to your vise like this. Strap the strands in from the loose end. Tighten that up, and I'll pick up the camera. So I'm ready to go. Hopefully I got it. Oops, sorry, I went the wrong direction. So you gotta tighten the loose ends really tight in a vise to make sure they don't come loose or whatever. Okay, scratching my eye. So now you proceed to twist the wire. So as you can see, I'm putting some nice twists in the wire. If you do it too much, the wire will bunch up, or it will break at some point in some place, either at the vise or at there. So I twisted it up enough. So I'm gonna put this down and release the wire from the gun. Hopefully okay. So now I got my stranded wire here, and I'll just undo this. Okay, so now I got some braided or twisted wire. Okay, so now I'm gonna put my camera down here, pointed at the vise. And some of the tools you'll need, you'll see because I'll be using them for this demonstration. So anyways, let me see if I'm in camera. Okay, in frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, hopefully these are sharp enough. So I cut a piece of that off, the tip there. You could save that and recycle it or anything like that. Now what you want to do right away, or you can do this later, is you want to solder the ends of this or melt it. It takes a lot of temperature to melt copper. because it's such a good heat conductor that it really gets rid of the heat fast. So I think I'm going to solder it, so bear with me. And hopefully I'm in the camera frame. Let's just check here. So anyways, I got lead-free solder. That's probably a must. And I got a simple propane blowtorch here. And I'm just going to quickly solder the end with some lead-free solder. Again, you could just melt the copper too. So just very quickly, I'm going to solder this together. So I'm just going to solder the end shut here. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so we're done. Copper takes on all sorts of neat colors too when you heat it and stuff like that. It turns purples and stuff like that. Okay, so anyways, there's all sorts of steps to this. Actually, I probably should have soldered it at a different time. So anyways, I'm kind of bumbly with some of my demonstrations, and that's kind of just my way. So anyways, I'm going to pull the camera back, and hopefully this copper's not ridiculously hot, and hopefully I'm in frame here. I'm just kind of feeling the copper. Okay, it cools very quickly. So now you got your copper rod. You choose a socket, a tool socket, you know, the kind you'd use in a ratcheting wrench. You try to gauge your finger size. And anyways, you just, oh sorry, you know what guys, me and my bumbly ways, I'm getting ahead of myself. You could either do it the way I was about to say. You can start wrapping this into a circle around the socket here, or you can take any kind of piece of metal like an anvil or whatever you have that's hard, and you can flatten this out. So I'm going to do that. That's the kind of ring I'm going to make. So taking my little utility hammer here, and I'm going to flatten this out here. Now when you do that, the copper strand takes on a neat kind of woven pattern. As you can see down here, it's a tight twist, and now up here it's thinner now, and it's a it's flat now rather than round, and it's the threading or the twisting, if you will, has taken on a bit of a different look to it. It looks really neat. Maybe I'll show a close-up when I'm done. So I'm going to put that down. Okay, so you would hammer it flat or keep it circular, and then cut a strip off it. So here's your piece. Okay, now you would take a socket, and if you want to make this easier, you can use gloves and heat up the copper so that it's more flexible. So I'm kind of just going to wrap this around the socket to try to promote a round-ish shape, and hopefully you guys are seeing what I'm doing there. Okay, I'm going to take my hammer and I'm going to facilitate that shape around, because the socket's a hard chrome steel, so you could you know, shape it around there, kind of bend it. So you'll get to a point where you need to you'll need to snip some metal off again. So that's where these little snips come in handy. So you would snip a chunk off. So I'm just going to snip this little end off. Okay, so we got this. Okay, so now, hopefully I'm in frame. Now I'm going to start shaping this with the hammer to try to get the rounds into it, around the socket. One thing you can do is use a pair of pliers to hold the copper in place. I'll do a part 2 to this to show a macro of what I ended up with here, to show you what it looks like when it's polished and finished. Copper's got some health benefits, so it's actually, you know, it could be good for your girlfriend or your wife or your mom to wear copper. It might be something their body is lacking, because we're all made up of you know, elements and elements and stuff like that. So we do have copper in our system. So anyways, you can see it's starting to form a ring, and if you want it to stop right then and there, you could. It's already a copper ring, but you don't. You could if you wanted to. I got a nice round shape happening there. So I'm gonna, and also you could press these two ends together to form a solid ring, or you can leave the split ring design where the person can grab it and bend it to the size of their finger. So you can either heat it up and solder it, or something like that, solder it together. Or you can leave it a split ring design. Here's a ring I made out of a dirt bike valve, and I forged it. This is a forged ring, and it's got the split design. So there's a split design, and these are rings I made out of coins, and they're completely circular. With no seams or anything like that. So both are good. So I think we're going to make this one today, and I'm just going to quickly solder the end of it, both ends, to close it off so that the wires are kind of caught together, and then I'm going to show you some other stuff. So quickly, and these, in case you're wondering, these rings really turn out really well. A lot of the times it looks like they turn out really well, kind of store-bought-ish. I guess what I'm trying to say is that they can turn out really well. So now the copper is going to get really hot since it's such a small piece. So I'm just going to hold it like this, take my blowtorch, turn it on, my lead-free solder. I'm going to heat up the piece of metal. You can use a thinner solder than this, or a thinner solder. And we're just going to see if she'll stick. You don't want to put too much solder on. And I forgot to use flux too, so just in case you're wondering, I could have fluxed it, and I probably should have. I forgot. Actually, guys, I'm gonna put this down and grab the flux quickly, because the flux will really help me out here. I forgot about that step. So very quickly, I'm gonna dip it in flux, some lead-free tinning flux. So I forgot that step. So I'm just going to quickly dip the ends in the solder here. Kind of put a little bit of solder on there, because the solder helps it flow to the inside the joints and stuff like that, the cracks and whatnot. So applying a bit of solder, and I forgot in the first place. Okay, so let's refire that up and solder this so that the ends are sealed. You don't have to do this step. It's kind of just a finishing maneuver, but your ring will be sturdier because of it. So you heat up that solder, it's going to flow into the little twists. Get the metal hot enough. And the solder will self-flow. For those of you that don't know, copper has a really neat blue flame, green bluish flame when you heat it up. If you throw pennies in a campfire, it'll turn the flame blue. Okay, for some reason, kind of having a hard time for the solder to stick to this one piece, and I don't know why. But it's actually, there it goes. It's in there. Okay, so now we soldered the ends, and we're going to put that down to cool down for a second. I might cool it down with a spray bottle here. Just going to cool it down so I can pick it up right away. Okay, so just so I'm not wasting your time here, because we're already going on 15 minutes. So anyways, you use these sockets to, after you solder it, just to get the shape down, to promote that circle. And you could, there's all sorts of techniques to, you can roll it to get the shape in there, the circular shape. Okay, now I'm going to grab a different socket because I stretched it out. So bear with me for a sec here. Okay, so actually I'm just going to fix it because I bent it a little bit. That's what the horn's for on the back of your anvil. Okay, so get a nice round shape there. Oops. And I haven't done this in a while. I made a whole whack of these rings. And this is the first time I've done this in a while, so I just try to make it as circular as I can. And as you can see from being on the socket, I pull it off. It's round. Okay, so now let's tilt the camera over there. So now we have a ring out of copper, really neat weave in it, and I'll show you a close-up in part 2. The ends are soldered, and now we go about grinding it or polishing it. If you don't have a belt sander, you can use sandpaper, but I'll show you a neat little trick that I do. You can use sandpaper or any kind of thing. Oops. So I'm going to show you a little trick of mine to clean off the ring. So I'm going to find a good spot to put the camera down, point it at the work in question here. I guess this table might be better. Okay, so when I put this ring on my finger and I touch it against the belt sander as it's moving, it'll self-rotate and self-grind. Hopefully it works. So. There it goes. Pretty neat trick, eh guys? You can use that that self-rotating thing. What it does is it evens, it kind of grinds down any parts that might have been taller than other parts and stuff like that. So anyways, you can also use a, you can also take a pencil and put the ring on it like this, as you can see, and then hold this ring against, put your two fingers on this side and hold this ring against the belt sander and to rotate it and grind it at the same time. Okay, so, and if the ring ever becomes, if you ever bend it or whatever, and don't forget, if you don't have this, you can just rub this against sandpaper. You can just rub this against sandpaper if you don't have a grinder, and you don't even have to do that. It's just me polishing it and making it look different. Also, if these little ends are out of shape from cutting, you could just shape them with a file or a belt sander and clean them up. So, go ahead and do that. So, okay. So what we have is a, and if it ever, like I said, if it ever gets out of circular, you just put it back inside the socket and re-true it. You can use wooden or rubber mallets for that since it's so soft. Sometimes you can just get away with squishing it with your fingers because it's so soft to re-true it. Okay, quickly, just bear with me. And so, as you guys know, I'm out of the frame, but what I'm about to pull out now is my secret weapon for polishing knives. For those of you that don't know me, my friend Tom in Winnipeg gave me a grinder, but this one has the buffing wheel Velcro pad on it. He polishes cars and automotive paint and stuff like that with his. But what you can use these pads for is you can coat them with valve grinding compound or anything like that to use as a polishing wheel, or flits, or any kind of polishing stuff like Brasol or anything like that. So I'm kind of hurrying because the video is going on to 20 some minutes. So just I'm going to polish the ring up now. Okay guys, this is going on to 21 minutes, 22 minutes. So I'm going to work on it a bit more just by polishing it on the polisher there. And then I'll show part 2 with a macro setting on what it looks like. So I better hurry this along because I don't know if this will be too much for YouTube or something. If not, it's okay. But just know you can do this with Dremel tool and stuff like that. You could take stones and grind out the inside and really customize these things. So we'll see you in part 2 for the finished look at the ring. Thanks a lot guys for watching how to make the significant other or a friend or whatever a copper ring. See you in part 2. Bye.